please be seated. Can we read the jury in, please? Court is not in session. We're in the record case number 12 CF 10A3, State of Florida versus George Zimmerman. Mr. Zimmerman is charged with second-degree murder in shooting death of Trayvon Martin. Members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty based only on facts and evidence provided in this case. The prosecution has the burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt. This burden remains on the prosecution through the trial. The prosecution must prove that a crime was committed and that the defendant is the one who committed the crime. However, if you are not satisfied of the defendant's guilt to that extent, then reasonable doubt exists and the defendant will be found not guilty. Is the prosecution ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now we will begin with the opening statements. Prosecution, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the jury, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Fucking punks. These assholes. They always get away. Those were the words in that grown man's mouth as he followed in the dark a 17-year-old boy who he didn't know. Excuse my language, but those were his words, not mine. Fucking punks. These assholes. They always get away. Those were the words in that man's chest when he got off his car, armed with a fully loaded 90mm semi-automatic pistol and 2 flashlights, to follow on foot Trayvon Benjamin Martin, who was walking home, armed with 23 ounces of Arizona brown fruit juice and a small bag of Skittles candies. As the smoke and the smell in that rainy Sunday summer night, Trayvon Martin, 21 days removed from his 60th year, was face down in the grass, laboring to his final breath on this earth. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth about the murder of Trayvon Martin is going to come directly from his mouth, from those hateful words he used to describe a perfect stranger, and from those lies he told the police to cover himself. For example, the defendant told the police that it was just after he hung up with Sean Nofke, the non-emergency dispatcher, that Trayvon Martin approached him, confronted him, said a couple of words to him, and then punched him and knocked him to the ground, just moments after that. Ladies and gentlemen, that did not happen. You will have phone records from his call and Trayvon Martin's call. The defendant hung up with Sean Nofke at 7:13:43 p.m. and Trayvon Martin, who was on the phone with that girl from Miami, his phone call didn't end until 7:15 p.m. 44 seconds. 2 minutes later, 2 minutes that the defendant wasn't going back to his car. He was walking after Trayvon Martin. For example, he told the police that in one point, while he was sitting on his car, Trayvon Martin ran behind some houses and then came back again, circled his car, and ran. You will hear in that non-emergency call that the George Zimmerman said to the police is not true. It's impossible to do the way he described it. For example, the defendant told the police that the reason he got out of his car was because Sean Nofke told him, "We need an address." That don't happen. Didn't happen. Because Sean Nofke never said that. Also, he said that Trayvon Martin was straddling his chest, punching him and banging his head into the sidewalk. and then took his hands and covered his nose and his mouth, his nose that was bleeding already for the first punch. Well, they look at Trayvon Martin's hands. There is no blood, no DNA from George Zimmerman. Also, the defendant claims that when Trayvon Martin was on top of him, he said, "You're gonna die tonight." Ladies and gentlemen, you will hear from people who were out there. Nobody said that. These are just some of the evidence that we will show you in this case. And we are confident that at the end of this trial, you will know in your head, in your heart, and in your stomach that George Zimmerman didn't shoot Trayvon Martin because he had to. He shot him for the worst of all reasons, because he wanted to. Thank you for your time.
Defense, you may proceed.
Your Honor, members of the jury, my name is Mark O'Mara and I'm here representing George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman was charged of the second-degree murder to the 17 years old Martin Trayvon. The thing happened on February 26 when George Zimmerman was taking care of the neighborhood because they report a lot of several break-ins in the house. While he was driving, he saw someone walking suspiciously, like he was on drugs. So he decided to call 911. After the call finished, the violent encounter occurred. Martin began physically assaulting my client, banged his head on the ground. And that was the moment when Zimmerman acted in self-defense. He shot at Trayvon. But it was not the first time that Trayvon had this violent behavior. Actually, Trayvon got spent school for 3 reasons. The first one was because missing school. The second one was because he made graffiti on the walls. And the third one, because they found marijuana in his backpack. And also, after his death, they made the autopsy and they found that it had remains of THC, that is a component of marijuana. And Zimmerman was correct. He was on drugs when the incident happened. Also, in Florida, they, according to the stand your ground, it's a law that they approve to force to defend, that you can defend yourself in case of suffering serious physical harm. And I'm here to prove that George Zimmerman did that because it was in self-defense. Thank you.
Thank you. Prosecution, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state of Florida called Shane Nopkin to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please say your name for the record.
Mr. Nopkin, where do you work and how many years of experience do you have?
I'm a 911 operator and I have 6 years of experience.
Your Honor, may I proceed with the exhibition of the evidence number 1?
You may.
Which part of the supply is going to report the shop?
Hey, we had some break-ins in my neighborhood, and there's a real suspicious guy. It's Retreat View Circle. The best address I can give you is 111 Retreat View Circle. This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining, and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He looks black.
Did you see what he was wearing?
Yeah, a dark hoodie, like a gray hoodie, and either jeans or sweatpants and white tennis shoes. He's here now, and he's just staring.
Oh, he's just walking around the area.
At all the houses.
Okay.
And now he's just staring at me.
Okay, he said it's 1111 Retreat View or 111?
That's the clubhouse.
That's the clubhouse. Do you know if he's near the clubhouse right now?
Yeah, now he's coming towards me.
Okay.
He's got his hand in his waistband. Yeah, he's a black male.
Okay. How old would you say he
He's
was?
got a button on his shirt. Late teens.
Late teens, okay.
Something's wrong with him. Yeah, he's coming to check me out. He's got something in his hands. I don't know what his deal is.
Okay, just let me know if he does
Get an
anything,
officer
okay?
over here.
Yeah, we got him on the way. Just let me know if this guy does anything else.
Okay. These assholes, they always get away. Yeah. When you come to the clubhouse, you come straight in and they go left. Actually, you go past the clubhouse.
Okay, it says on the left-hand side from the clubhouse?
And now you go in straight through the entrance. And then you make a left. Yeah. You go straight in, don't turn and make a left. Shit, he's running.
He's running. Which way is he running?
Down towards the other entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay, which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Okay.
Alright, sir, what is your name?
George. He ran.
Alright, George, what's your last name?
Zimmerman.
And George, what's the phone number you're calling from?
407 435 2400.
Alright, George, would you have him on the way? Do you want to meet with the officer when they get out there?
Yeah.
Alright, where are you going to meet with them at?
If they come in through the gate, so I'm gonna go straight past the clubhouse and straight past the clubhouse and they go left, and then they go past the mailboxes. This looks like my truck.
Okay, what address are you parked in front of?
I don't know. It's a cut through, so I don't know the address.
Okay, do you live in the area?
Yeah.
What's your apartment number?
It's a home. It's 1950. Oh crap! I don't want to give it out loud. I don't know where this kid is.
Okay, do you want to just be with them right near the mailboxes then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, George, I'll let them know to meet you with you out there,
Actually,
okay?
could you have them call me and I'll tell them where I'm
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
at? You need my number? You got it.
Yeah, I got it. 407-435-2400?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, no problem. I'll let them know to call you when they're in the area.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Mr. Nutfi, do you recognize your voice here?
Yes.
You asked to let you know if the person that the caller was watching did anything else.
Always with us? Yes, sir.
What did your training tell you whether you want callers to engage and investigate their activities?
Always with us, we're trying to avoid any kind of confrontation, so we ask in case that something does happen, so we can immediately protect the units.
No further questions, Your Honor. Defense, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Do you hear any anger in that voice?
No, ma'am, I won't say so.
Do you have any concern at this moment on how Mr. Zimmerman was acting?
No, ma'am.
Did that give you any cause of concern that he didn't want to give you the address?
No, ma'am.
Do you keep the track of the calls when you finish?
I typically do, yes.
Is anything significantly about this call?
After finding out what actually happened related to the calls, yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is dismissed. Prosecution, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The state of Florida calls Jennifer Lowry to the stand.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God?
So help me God.
Please say your name for the record.
Jennifer Lowry.
Mrs. Lowry, going back to February 26, 2012, were you and your husband home that evening?
Yes.
At some point around 7 o'clock, did something draw your attention outside your house?
Yes.
Can you describe what first drew your attention outside?
I just hear noises like low talking.
What happened after that? Was there a change in the voices?
Yes, I hear them like scuffling around, like sneakers on pavement and grass.
Did you or your husband in any time see something outside?
No, we didn't.
At some point, you or your husband called 911?
Yes, we decided to call 911 and we heard the scuffling noises.
And as speaking to the operator, did you actually hear a gunshot?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I proceed with the exhibition of the evidence number 2?
Yes, you may.
Do you need police, fire, medical?
Maybe both, I'm not sure. There's just someone screaming outside.
Hey, what's the address that they're near? Okay, and is it a male or female?
It sounds like a male.
And you don't know why?
I don't know why. I think they're yelling help, but I don't know. Just send someone quick. Please.
Okay, does he look hurt to you?
I can't see him. I don't want to go out there. I don't know what's going on. So they're sending.
So you think he's yelling help?
Yes.
Alright, what is your number?
There's gunshots.
You just heard gunshots?
Yes.
How many?
Just one. Jimmy, get down. No, come here.
Is he no longer yelling?
No one, I don't know. Jimmy, get in here now. Jeremy, get up here.
Is he right outside?
Yeah, pretty much out the back, yeah.
Is he in front of it or behind that address?
He's behind my house.
Okay.
Just stay away from the windows.
I don't hear him yelling anymore. Do you hear anything?
No, I don't because I'm hiding upstairs. There was a gunshot right outside our house. I mean, you obviously sent something already, right?
Yes, it's in dispatch. What's your name and phone number?
My name is... My phone number is...
How do you spell your last name? Okay. Do you hear any vehicles leaving or anyone else? Do you hear anything right
There's people yelling out there, but I don't want to go down there, so...
Okay, multiple people are yelling now?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, well, we do have officers on the way. Just call us back if you do hear or see anything else suspicious, like any vehicles leaving or anything like that, okay?
Okay.
Alright, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Mrs. Lowry, is that your voice speaking to the operator?
Yes.
Is that your husband is speaking on the background?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Defense, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
No, Your Honor.
The witness is dismissed. Defense, you may call your first witness.
The defense calls Tracy Martin to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please say your name for the record.
Tracy Martin.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Tracy Benjamin Morin. I am Trayvon Martin's dad.
Okay, here I have that a couple of officers testified that you visited the police station. What was the purpose of that?
At first, I went to see if Trayvon's body was identified.
And did you speak to Mr. Serino?
Yes, I did.
Can you recall your conversation with Mr. Serino?
Well, he asked me to listen to a recording of a person calling 911 for help. He asked me to identify if it was my son.
Mr. Serino said that the person that was asking for help was your son. Is that correct?
Yes.
And also the police state that you looked away and he interpreted that as a no. Why did you react like that?
At first, my reaction was like, no, he wasn't Trayvon, but I pushed the car away and you say, I can tell.
So, you weren't sure that it was Trayvon asking for help, don't you?
No, I needed to listen to the tape several times to make sure it was my son.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
No, Your Honor.
The witness is dismissed. Prosecution, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state of Florida calls for Sabrina Fulton to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God? So help me God. Please say your name for the record. Sabrina Fulton.
Mrs. Fulton, do you have any children?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us who they are and their names?
My youngest son is Trayvon Martin, and my oldest son is Jaharis Fulton.
Have you ever heard your son screaming or crying?
Yes, I have.
Your Honor, may I proceed with the exhibition of the evidence number 2?
You may.
I don't know, do you need police, fire, medical?
Maybe both, I'm not sure. There's just someone screaming outside.
Hey, what's the address that they're near? Okay, and is it a male or female?
It sounds like a male.
And you don't know why?
I don't know why. I think they're yelling help, but I don't know. Send someone to take shot.
Okay, does he look hurt to you?
I can't see him. I don't want to go out there. I don't know what's going on. They're sending.
So you think he's yelling help?
Yes.
Alright, what is your number?
There's gunshots.
Do you recognize that screaming as your son's voice?
Yes, the person screaming is my son, Trayvon Martin.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Defense, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Will you tell us the first time you listened to the tape? Where were you?
I was in Stanford. I think it was the mayor's office.
If it was your son who was screaming, then if Mr. Zimmerman's fault the event of his death, correct?
Correct.
And if it was not your son, and if it was George Zimmerman, then you accept the probability that Trayvon Martin caused his own death.
I don't understand your question.
Okay. And it was not your son, and it was George Zimmerman, then you accept the probability that Trayvon Martin caused his own death.
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
You certainly hope to listen to your son screaming, right?
I didn't hope for anything. I just simply listened the tape.
I have no further question, Your Honor.
The witness is dismissed. Prosecution, you may call your next witness.
The state of Florida calls Rachel Jantel to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God? Please say your name for the record.
Rachel, you were talking to the phone with Trayvon the night when Mr. Zimmerman shot him, right?
Yes, I was.
And what happened while you were on the phone with Martin?
Well, I was in the phone while Martin was at 7-Eleven, and then the call disconnected, and he called me back later.
And what happened during the second call?
Martin told me that a man was following him, and I asked him how the man looked, and he told me that he looked as creepy as cracker. And then suddenly he told me that the man was behind him, and then I heard Traven saying to the man, why are you following me for? And the man told him, what are you doing around here? And then the phone fell and died.
So, who do you think was screaming on the 911 call?
I think it's Traven because he got such a baby voice.
No further questions, Your Honor. Defense, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. So, what was the last thing you heard on the phone call?
Something hitting somebody. I think it was Traven.
And you don't know that, do you?
No.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is dismissed. Prosecution, you may call your next witness. Thank you. The state calls Diana Smith to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
So help me God.
Please say your name for the record.
Diana Smith.
What is your job about, Mr. Smith?
I work at the police station as a crime scene technician.
And can you explain to the members of the jury your duties and responsibilities as a crime scene technician?
I document, photograph, collect, and preserve evidence from a crime scene.
On Sunday, February 26, 2012, were you working at the evening?
Yes, I was.
And approximately what time did you arrive to the crime scene?
About 7:55 p.m.
When you arrived to the scene, did you speak to the officers that were there before you?
Yes, I did, in order to them to brief me on the scene.
Was the victim's body still located at the scene when you arrived?
Yes, it was identified as Trayvon Martin's body.
Did you have a walkthrough above?
Yes, I did.
Explain the jury what is a walkthrough.
A walkthrough is the purpose of the police to brief me on the scene and for them to tell me all the evidence that I need to be aware of before walking the scene.
At the end of the walkthrough, what was the first thing you did to start processing the scene?
I started taking photographs of the crime scene.
And you also did a diagram in order to document the scene, right?
Yes, I did.
Please explain it to the jury. Your Honor, may I proceed with exhibition number 3?
Yes, you may.
Well, as we can see, this is the route that Zimmerman and Trayvon had that night of the shooting. Here is calculated as the 911 call facts. This was the place where Trayvon Martin was coming through, and the shot took place in here.
Thank you. Now, can you please tell the jury of the items that were found among Martin's belongings?
Yes, Trayvon Martin carried on some Arizona tea, a package of Skittles, also a cell phone, some keys, some flashlights, and a pair of plastic bags.
Was Trayvon armed?
No, he wasn't. These were the only items that he was carrying.
Do you recognize this firearm?
Yes, it's a 9mm semi-automatic pistol.
Did you make a DNA process on the weapon?
Yes, this weapon is identified as
Zimmerman's weapon.
No further questions, Your Honor. Defense, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
No, Your Honor.
The witness is dismissed. Defense, you may call your next witness.
The defense calls Selma Mara to the stand. Your Honor, can I ask for a translator for Mrs. Mora?
Yes, you may.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
¿Juras decir la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad?
Lo juro.
Please say your name for the record.
Somebody to know.
Selma Mora.
On February 26, do you heard sounds coming from the outside of your house?
¿El 26 de febrero escuchaste sonidos provenientes de afuera de tu casa?
Sí, escuché algo salir de la ventana. Era como un lloriqueo.
Yes, I hear something coming from the window. It was like someone crying.
In which part of the house were you when you heard those sounds?
¿En qué parte de la casa estabas cuando escuchaste los sonidos?
Estaba en la cocina.
I was in the kitchen.
And what do you do when you heard the sound that we are discussing?
¿Y qué hiciste cuando escuchaste el sonido del que estamos discutiendo?
Corrí hacia atrás donde está el patio.
I ran towards the back where the yard is located.
How was the two people position that you saw?
¿Cómo fue la posición de las dos personas que viste?
Una estaba en el suelo y la otra estaba encima de él, como en una posición de jinete.
One of them was on the ground and the other one was on top in the position like a rider, like riding a horse.
Can you please show me the position? Okay, thank you. Could you tell us if the person on top was white, black, or Hispanic?
¿Podría decirnos si la persona de arriba era blanca, negra, hispana o qué?
Había muy poca luz y no me dejaba ver muy bien los colores.
The little light there was at the time did not allow me to see very well the colors.
Do you say anything to the two people when you went outside?
¿Dijiste algo a las dos personas cuando saliste?
Sí, les pregunté qué estaba pasando.
Yes, I say what's going on.
Did the person on the bottom answer when you asked him?
¿La persona de abajo respondió cuando usted dijo eso?
Él no contestó y la persona que estaba encima solo me miró, pero no respondió. Le volví a preguntar qué estaba pasando y él solo me dijo que llamara a la policía.
Nobody answered. The person on top just looked at me and he didn't answer, and I asked again what's going on, and he just told me to call the police and he got away from the bar.
Did you see if the person on the top was a woman or a man?
¿Hasta el punto pudo ver si la persona de arriba era un hombre o mujer?
Sí, era un hombre.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever met Trevor Martin or George Zimmerman?
¿Habías conocido a un hombre llamado Trevor Martin o George Zimmerman?
No, nunca.
Okay, no further question, Your Honor.
Thank you. Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine the witness? No, Your Honor. The witness is dismissed. Prosecution, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Ricardo Ayala to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please say your name for the record.
Where do you work at, Mr. Ayala?
I'm a police officer at Stanford Police Department, and I've been working there for 11 years by now.
Were you working on the evening of the Sunday, February 26, 2012,
Yes, ma'am.
and answered to a call of a shooting?
Yes, I did.
What did you see when you first arrived to the crime scene?
I saw a black male on the ground and a white male talking to the officers.
And the male that was on the ground, did you later learn that person was Trayvon Martin?
Yes.
And what was Trayvon Martin's body position when you arrived?
He was face down with his hands underneath the body.
Was Trayvon Martin pronounced dead at the scene?
Yes, he was.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Defense, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. It's protocol in these kind of situations when everything is dark to take out your weapon and control the situation, right?
Correct.
When you approach a suspect, what do you do at first?
I told the person to show me his hands.
And did you repeat the same process with Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes, I did.
You said in your report that you were protecting Officer Smith, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
The witness is dismissed. Defense, you may call your next witness.
The defense called to the stand to the forensic technician Samantha Noel.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please say your name for the record.
Samantha Nowak.
Can you describe how does George Zimmerman look like when he arrived to the police station?
Yes, he had several injuries among his body.
Okay. Your Honor, may I proceed with the next evidence?
You may proceed.
Here we can see Trayvon's body. He had injuries on his left heel, on his left hand, and other on the right one. And unlike Zimmerman, he had multiple injuries in his nose, and his skull was, from my medical experience, pressed against something.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
No, Your Honor.
The witness is dismissed. Both the prosecution and defense have now rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their final arguments, but remember, what the attorneys say is not evidence, but you need to pay attention. They're intended to aid you in understanding the case. Prosecution, you may begin.
Thank you. Your Honor, jury, ladies and gentlemen, the human heart, it has a great many functions, but it's not the most important purpose. What it matters is what causes us to do things. It moves us, it motivates and inspires us, guides us and our hearts in big things like what we choose to do for life, and little things like what we do every day and any moment of the day. So, if we really want to know what happened out there behind those homes on the dark, rainy night, should we look into the heart of that grown man and that harmless child? Well, that tells us what really happened out here. That is what was in George Zimmerman's heart. And the defense can make fun of the way I say, but it's not my voice that matters. And we are about to hear from you. What does that to say? Was he just casually referring to a perfect stranger by saying everything that doesn't evidence to you anything? That's normal language, or is that not what's in the defendant's heart? Why do you approach Trayvon Martin? What does that tell you? It's funny. He put on a timeline that was 10 feet long, and the only thing you skipped were those two words at the bottom of the screen. I think there is a reason for that. Thank you, reason. He didn't want you to think about that again. How powerful that is what the defendant was feeling just moments before you pulled the trigger. You think that was a coincidence? What was in Trayvon Martin's heart was not fear. The witness who doesn't want to be here. The witness who doesn't want to be involved. But the witness, the human being that was on the phone
with the real victim, in this case, Trayvon Martin, right up until the time of his death? Was the child not in fear when he was running from the defendant? Isn't that every child's worst nightmare is to be followed on the way home in the dark by a stranger? Is it that every child's worst fear? That was Trayvon Martin's last emotion. There is an old saying, a great one. As a man speaks, so is he. The words on the screen were the last thing people said for Trayvon Martin's murder, before his defendant had a motivation to lie, to justify his actions. What were his words that were in his heart? If ever there was a window in the soul, it was the word from the defense mouth on the phone call, and if ever it was a question about who initiated the fight between that man and that child, it was again those defendant words when he called Sean Nofke, just have the officer call me on my cell phone, not tell you where I am. George Zimmerman was not come back from the clubhouse with the mailboxes. If there was any doubt about what really happened, was not completely removed by the words. All the lies, he told, all of them. What does that tell you? There is only two people that know what happened that night. One can testify, and the other one is lying. Thank you. Defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jury, how many could-have-beens have you heard from the state in this case? And how many what-ifs have you heard from the state also in this case? I don't think they get to ask any of this, and I especially don't think they get to say to you, what do you think? That Zimmerman, that is a sidewalk, that is not an unarmed teenager with nothing but Skittles trying to get home. That's what somebody who used the availability of dangerous items from his fist to the concrete to cause great bodily injury against, obviously, George Zimmerman. And the suggestion by the state that that's not a weapon that can hurt nobody, that can cause great bodily injury, is disgusting. Injuries weren't necessary to reclaim a self-defense claim. Rather, it was Zimmerman's state of mind and whether he was in fear of his life. In this case, Trayvon Martin was the aggressor in the confrontation. The person who decided that this was going to become a violent event was the guy who didn't went home when he had the chance to. Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the jury, you have heard all of the testimony concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine the facts. You and you alone are judges of the facts. Once you decide what facts the evidence proves, you must then apply the law as I give it to you, to the facts as you find them. In just a moment, the bailiff will take you to the jury room to consider your verdict. One of the first things you will want to do is select a foreperson. It will be the foreperson duty to sign the verdict form when you have agreed on a verdict. Whatever verdict you render must be unanimous, which means that each and every person must agree on the same verdict. The bailiff will now escort you to the deliberation room.
Okay.
Have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
What say you?
We, the jury, in the case of the state of Florida versus George Zimmerman, find the defendant not guilty.
Thank you, jury, for your service today. Court is adjourned.
Okay. Very well. Thank you. That's the end of that case.